G'day.
G'day, Rach. How you going?
Good. How are you, Scott?
Not too bad at all.
We are going live. Believe it or not, it is 7:30. We will wait for a few people to come on, hey?
If that's the plan, that's the plan. We'll just go with it and roll with it.
Guess so.
So, I suppose if no one's watching, we're not live really with anyone watching anyway. So, there you go.
Oops. I don't know what that button does. Ooh. Okay. Can you see that?
Comments will display here.
There you go.
That will be for everyone to see too, I'm assuming.
No, I don't think it is.
Okay.
We'll see as we go, Scott. This will be an experiment.
So I would say that the far one is probably what you and I see. If you put it there, everyone can see the comments, I reckon. So
it says chat overlay. So I know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's a chat overlay, so people will be able to see it. Anyway.
We can turn that off.
Yeah, let's do it like that. No, don't do it like that.
I was just going to say, let us know if you're there, just so we know if there's anybody on board with us yet.
Anyone make a comment in the comments? This is a very new thing for us. There we go.
Woohoo!
I'm watching. That's good. Glad there's someone watching.
Cool.
All right.
Can anybody see the comment of I'm watching on the screen? That's the other question we have. So the person who says I'm watching, we actually can't see your name or anything. We just know you are watching.
Yeah.
And you're from Facebook. Thank you for watching. Can you see the comments on the side? You probably can't. They're on this side of the screen.
Yeah. So, can you see that? I've just had my wife step in and go, "It's me."
Hi, Nick.
Can you see that? Yes, she can see the comments when you've got them there. So there you go.
We will close that off.
It's just the three of us having fun.
There's a slight delay with what you're saying.
I've got it up the top, Scott. Top left-hand corner, there's a little eye that says 3.
There you go. Well, welcome everyone for our first online streaming event. Here we go. So, shall we get into it?
Let's go.
We've got people watching, so we might as well start. So this is our time that will be for our Lenten reflections. Now, Lent basically means going into spring, which is about spring cleaning. It's about getting ourselves ready for the Easter event, the time when we celebrate the resurrection of Christ. We've got a tradition with our church where we actually have a Christ candle that burns with us all the way through the year. And it's actually on Resurrection Sunday that we replace that candle. And it's quite amazing that candle burns all the way through the year. Quite often we only have a little stub at the end, but it's time to change it over. And so we mark our actual year at Resurrection Sunday. So Lent as a tradition used to sit more in the Catholic and then the Anglican spaces, but the Protestants are re-evaluating whether we participate in that or not. And it really is this time where we pause. It's almost like a Sabbath. It's an intentional readying ourselves for the coming King. And so a lot of people say, oh, what are you going to go without for Lent? It's not so much what you're going to go without. It's more about what you're going to give up to focus and make space for God. So I hope that your time to give up giving up your time just to watch these series online will be worth it for you and life-giving. So the way we're going to do this is by reading a prayer. I'll read a prayer, and then we're going to do a Lectio Divina style of reading. So I'm going to read a reading, which is part of our lectionary readings geared for Lent journeys. So today's Ash Wednesday. It's the beginning of that journey. And so after I've read that text, the text will then scroll again. And as it scrolls, that's there for you to watch it and reflect on it. And then I'm going to read it again, but I'm going to read it a little bit differently. And the idea is that as you're hearing it again, you're either refocusing on what you heard before or checking what you heard before for its context on the way you're engaging it. And then the reading's going to play a fourth time. So you're going to see a reading 4 times all up on screen, but I'm going to read it twice. The idea is that as you listen to the reading and watch the reading, you're looking for things that you've never heard before, things that strike you as new or challenge you in a way that may not feel comfortable, but you've got to sit with it. And so by the time we go through the reading 4 times, it's the hope that the text sits within us and takes form with us. And then I'm going to finish our time with that same prayer. So I hope this is a time where you will value not only the word, but value making this time in your week to spend it in the text, reflecting on making space for God in your life. All right. Well, what we'll do is we'll stay online a little bit after we've done this first Ash Wednesday Lent reflection. And if you've got any questions or anything you'd like to clarify with me, please jump on site on those chat spots or those comment spots, and I'll stay online to engage you a bit more with that after it. So let's begin our Lenten reflection for Ash Wednesday. All right, Rach, you ready to go?
Let's have a go at this. Hey, Scott.
We hope this is something that is rewarding for you in your time with us. Okay. So let me start with a prayer. Living Lord, as we spend time with your words and teachings, help us to hear them and make them our own. Guide our reflections and our journaling as we seek your wisdom and presence. We confess we make the text about ourselves and not you. Help us to spend time with you this day. Be with us as you instruct, uplift, and or challenge us this day. May we, through this Lenten period, know your word, and through our presence, actions, and words, be the living embodiment of your kingdom come here on earth as it is in heaven. Amen. So the text we're going to read tonight is Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 to 6, and then verses 16 to 21. Let's go. Watch out. Don't do your good deeds publicly to be admired by others, for you will lose the reward from your Father in heaven. When you give to someone in need, don't do as the hypocrites do, blowing trumpets in the synagogues and streets to call attention to their acts of charity. I tell you the truth, they have received all the reward they will ever get. But when you give to someone in need, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Give your gifts in private, and your Father who sees everything will reward you. When you pray, don't be like the hypocrites who love to pray in public on the street corners and in the synagogues where everyone can see them. I tell you the truth, that is all the reward they will ever get. But when you pray, go away by yourself, shut the door behind you, and pray to your Father in private. Then your Father who sees everything will reward you. Verse 16. And when you fast, don't make it obvious as the hypocrites do, for they try to look miserable and disheveled, so people will admire them for their fasting. I tell you the truth, that's the only reward they will ever get. But when you fast, comb your hair and wash your face. Then no one will notice that you're fasting, except your Father who knows what you do in private. and your Father, who sees everything, will reward you. Don't store up treasures here on earth, where moths eat them and rust destroys them, and where thieves break in and steal. Store your treasures in heaven, where moths and rust cannot destroy, and thieves do not break in and steal. Wherever your treasure is, there the desire of your heart will be also. We're going to go through that text again. I'm going to stay quiet so you can read through it yourselves, and hopefully that'll make sense. I've recognised there that someone's saying the music is making it difficult to hear, so we might can the music at this point in time. Again, the words will play over again, and I'll read it once we reach the end. Thanks, Rach, for taking us through that rereading. Again, you're looking for phrases or words that might challenge you or change the way you want to think about God this day. Okay, I'm going to read it again. I'm just going to change one word as I read it through. It makes a difference for you. Thanks, Rach. Reading from Matthew 6, 1-6, and 16 to 21. Watch out. Do not do your good deeds publicly to be admired by others, for you will lose the reward from your Father in heaven. When you give to someone in need, don't do as the super religious do, making a whole lot of noise in church and on the streets to call attention to their acts of charity. I tell you the truth, they have received all the reward they will ever get. But when you give to someone in need, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Give your gifts in private, and your Father who sees everything will reward you. When you pray, don't be like the super Christians and religious people who love to pray on public street corners and in the churches where everyone can hear and see them. I tell you the truth, that's all the reward they will ever get. But when you pray, Go away by yourself. Shut the door behind you and pray to your Father in private. Then your Father, who sees everything, will reward you. And when you fast, don't make it obvious, as the super religious or Christianese people do, for they try to look miserable and dishevelled so people would admire them for their fasting. I tell you the truth, that's the only reward they will ever get. But when you fast, comb your hair and wash your face. Then no one will notice that you're fasting, except your Father, who knows what you do in private. And your Father, who sees everything, will reward you. So don't store up your treasures here on earth where moths eat them and rust destroys them and where thieves break in and steal. Store up your treasures in heaven where the moths and rust cannot destroy and thieves do not break in and steal. Wherever your treasure is, the desires of your heart will also be. I'm going to read through that quietly for you to again reflect one more time on those words. Noticing any word that jumps out at you or anything that strikes you or confronts you this night. Thanks, Rach. Let me pray. Living Lord, as we spend time with your words and teachings, help us to hear them and make them our own. Guide our reflections and our journaling as we seek your wisdom and presence. We confess we often make the text about ourselves and not you. Help us to spend time with you this day. Be with us as you instruct, uplift, and or challenge us this day. May we, through this Lenten period, know your word, and through our presence, actions, and words, be the living embodiment of your kingdom come, here on earth, as it is in heaven. Amen. So I encourage you to take the time to journal as you sit with that text, Matthew 6, 1-6 and 16 to 21. And after every two of these sessions, we'll pre-record the readings and readers, so we'll get different readers to read the readings. But after every second one, we'll jump on live after every second one. And if you've got some questions or reflections or some insight you'd like to share with us online, then that's what we'll do. We'll be here to try it out. If no one's using it, well, we'll let it sit and be as it is. This is new for us. It's a new way of doing church together, building community. So use those comment spots either on Facebook or YouTube if you'd like to reflect or ask a question. And while you're thinking about doing that, this is a text that I come to, and it really does press my buttons to remind me that what we do for God, not for our own recognition. And as ministers, we're kind of in that public eye and public space all the time. So we've got to work twice as hard to make sure that we're attending to our spiritual relationship with God beyond our employed style of doing that. It's also fair to say, I know it talks about big, long prayers in church, but sometimes church can also be the place where we go away from the world to spend our time with God in prayer and to seek that. So that's another way of just understanding what that text might be inviting us to do. And it is about a time when synagogues were the public place to be in the Hebrew text, rather than church, which tends to be moving into that space that's not as public an area, but for those of us who have faith and for those of us who want to just step out of the world and spend some time with God. So I'd say in 2,000 years, that's where we've changed a little. All right, well, I'm not seeing any other comments coming up or anybody wanting to interact with this or share their thoughts. Thank you, Rachel, for being the one that put all this together, and you and doing all the background work and working out which programs to run. I'm really just a passenger here, and so I want to thank Rachel for all she's done for us in creating this space for us online and making it a space where we can share. Was there anything you got out of spending that time, Rach?
Yeah, there was probably a couple of. Do we want to go? How far do you want to go into this? I can talk about where I went with it, but that depends if that's where you want to go. Well,
that's a space where someone says thank you, guys. So it looks like people are happy to just move on from this space. If you want to share with us, please share. You can take us. I would just where that is, or
say.
Or we can leave it to later. Remember, again, it's Maundy Thursday. We'll make an intentional time to really go through and let people share the whole journey. So maybe I won't put you on the spot so much.
I was just thinking there at that point in time, it was really focusing for me around prayer and how intentional that space is with my everyday life.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for being with us live. Well, let us know how it goes. And again, the actual part of the readings will be recorded, so you'll hear other voices participating in that space. But thank you for being with us. Take care, and we'll catch you next time. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be live. All right. Thanks, Rach. Sign us out.
Bye.